Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajikacharya Satarasata Shri Sriman The Divine Grace of our Charanabinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Jai Nityalila Bhavishta Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajikacharya Satarasata Shri Sriman The Divine Grace of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem se Gauhar Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Govinda Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Braja Bhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Shri Jagannath Puri Chaitra Dham Ki Gangamai Ki Jamunamai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Srimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Gaur Premanandi All glories to some devotees All glory to some devotees. All glory to some devotees. All glory to Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, and Srila Prabhupada. Reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, Volume 6, chapter titled, Chant Hare Krishna and Fight. Sitting with Srila Prabhupada in Bombay, Rameshwar Swami informed him that a nationwide committee of professors and theologians had come to the defense of Krishna consciousness in the New York case, and that many lawyers and psychologists were sympathetic. Well, this is a special one, huh? It is so much mercy from Krishna, said Srila Prabhupada. Krishna wanted all these things to happen. Krishna himself became important when he killed so many demons, not simply by lying down in the lap of Mother Yashoda. When he was on the lap of Mother Yashoda, from that day he began to kill. Therefore, Krishna established that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So even Krishna was not exempted, what to speak of us. Prahlad Maharaj was not exempted. As soon as you speak of God, this opposition will come. Jesus Christ was crucified. They are so kind, they have not crucified me or my men. But you have to expect all these things. Nityananda Prabhu was personally injured. Haridas Thakur was beaten in 22 bazaars. This task is like that. They are getting everyone in America to ask the question, what is Hare Krishna, said Rameshwar. That is our gain, said Srila Prabhupada. They are chanting Hare Krishna. We still have work very hard. We still have to work very hard to defeat them. Rameshwar added, oh yes, said Prabhupada, that is necessary. You don't sleep. Never did Krishna say to Arjuna, I am your friend, I am God. You sleep here, I'll do everything. No, you must fight. That is wanted. Krishna said, you fight and remember me, and then I'll do everything. This is an opportunity of remembering Krishna always. Prabhupada explained that the greatest shock for the materialists was that the Krishna conscious movement strongly opposed illicit sex, meat eating, and intoxication. To them, for a person to give up these things was so shocking that they could not accept it was happening because of a genuine spiritual experience. Referring to a previous case, Prabhupada said, in Germany they also accused that the old man is sitting in Los Angeles and has engaged all these boys in collecting money for him. They are thinking that way, that I have some mind control power and I have engaged these men. They are getting the money and I am enjoying. Srila Prabhupada ki. This is a very interesting point that Prabhupada brings up. It's exactly what the materialists think. That how is it possible that all these people have become somewhat, and then they, of course, the term they use is brainwashed. Because they can't conceive of something that would give a person impetus to give up what they cannot. All right, what's that verse? Vishayavini vartante nirastidena raso rasapyasa paramjasvana vartate. One gets a higher taste, but that's something which they cannot conceive of. What is higher than the so-called taste that they're experiencing? Paramjasvana vartate. Not a single karmi can appreciate this unless he comes in contact with the devotees. And he reads the Reservoir of Pleasure, which is that ubiquitous pamphlet we passed out by the hundreds of thousands in the New York City subways, which made so many devotees in the 70s in New York City. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 2nd chapter, text 15, chapter titled Remembrance of Lord Krishna. Swashanta Rupesh Vitara Swarupar Swashanta Rupesh Vitirai Swarupar Abhyadhyamanesh Vanupamatma Abhyadhyamanesh Vanukampitatma Paravaresho Mahadang Sayukto Yajo Pijato Bhagavan Yatagni Swashanta Rupesh Vitarai Swarupar Abhyadhyamanesh Vanukampitatma Paravaresho Mahadang Sayukto Yajo Pijato Bhagavan Yatagni. Please chant. Swashanta Rupesh Vitarai Swarupar Abhyadhyamanesh Vanukampitatma Paravaresho Mahadang Sayukto Yajo Pijato Bhagavan Yatagni. Swashanta Rupesh Vitarai Swarupar Abhyadhyamanesh Vanukampitatma Paravaresho Mahadang Sayukto Yajo Pijato Bhagavan Yatagni. Ladies. Swashanta Rupesh Vitarai Swarupar Abhyadhyamanesh Vanukampitatma Paravaresho Mahadang Sayukto Yajo Pijato Bhagavan Yatagni. Swashanta Rupeshu unto the peaceful devotees of the Lord. Itarai, others, non-devotees. Swarupai, according to their own modes of nature. Abhyadhyamaneshu, being harassed by. Anukampita Atma, the all-compassionate Lord. Para avara, spiritual and material. Isha, controller. Mahat Angsayukta, accompanied by the plenary portion of Mahat Tattva. He, certainly. Aja, the unborn. Api, although. Jata, is born. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Yata, as if. Agni, the fire. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead, the all-compassionate controller of both the spiritual and material creations, is unborn. But when there is friction between His peaceful devotees and persons who are in the material modes of nature, He takes birth just like fire, accompanied by the Mahat Tattva. Please repeat. The personality of Godhead.
The personality of Godhead.
The all-compassionate controller of both.
The all-compassionate controller of both.
The spiritual and material creations. Is unborn. But when there is friction between his peaceful devotees and persons who are in the material modes of nature, he takes birth just like fire, accompanied by the Mahat Tattva. Purport. The devotees of the Lord are by nature peaceful because they have no material hankering. A liberated soul has no hankering, and therefore he has no lamentation. One who wants to possess also laments when he loses his possessions. Devotees have no hankerings for material possessions and no hankerings for spiritual salvation. They are situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord as a matter of duty, and they do not mind where they are or how they have to act. Karmis, Gyanis, and Yogis all hanker to possess some material or spiritual assets. Karmis want material possessions. Gyanis and Yogis want spiritual possessions. But devotees do not want any material or spiritual assets. They want only to serve the Lord anywhere in the material or spiritual worlds that the Lord desires. And the Lord is always specifically compassionate towards such devotees. The Karmis, Gyanis, and Yogis have their particular mentalities in the modes of nature, and therefore they are called Ittara, or non-devotees. These Ittaras include even the yogis. These Ittaras, including even the yogis, sometimes harass the devotees of the Lord. Durvasa Muni, a great yogi, harassed Maharaj Ambarish because the latter was a great devotee of the Lord. And the great Karmi and Gyani, Hiranyakashipu, even harassed his own Vaishnava son, Prahlad Maharaj. There are many instances of such harassment of the peaceful devotees of the Lord by the Ittaras. When such friction takes place, the Lord, out of his great compassion toward his pure devotees, appears in person, accompanied by his plenary portions controlling the Mahat Tattva. The Lord is everywhere in both the material and spiritual domains, and he appears for the sake of his devotees when there is friction between his devotee and the non-devotee. As electricity is generated by friction of matter anywhere and everywhere, the Lord, being all-pervading, appears because of the friction of devotees and non-devotees. When Lord Krishna appears on a mission, all his plenary portions accompany him. When he appeared as the son of Vasudeva, there were differences of opinion about his incarnation. Some said he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some said he is an incarnation of Narayan. And others said he is the incarnation of Kshirodakshay Vishnu. But actually he is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. And Narayan, the Purushas, and all other incarnations accompany him to function as different parts of his pastimes. Mahad Angsayukta indicates that he is accompanied by the Purushas who create the Mahat Tattva. It is confirmed in the Vedic hymns, Mahantam Vibhum Atmanam. Lord Krishna appeared just like electricity when there was friction between Kamsa and Vasudeva and Ugrasen. Vasudeva and Ugrasen were the Lord's devotees, and Kamsa, a representative of the Karmis and Gyanis, was a non-devotee. Krishna, as he is compared to the sun. He first appeared from the ocean of the womb of Devaki, and gradually he satisfied the inhabitants of the places surrounding Mathura, just as the sun enlivens the lotus flower in the morning. After gradually rising to the meridian of Dwarka, the Lord set like the sun, placing everything in darkness, as described by Uddhava. Om Gyana Tamanasya Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshram Lathaminatasmaya Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langhate Gurum Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Diratahanam. So this interesting parallel between what we were just reading in Leela Amrita and this purport. where we see that, devotees are not shy to serve Krishna in any capacity. And sometimes, in that respect, they are misunderstood or underestimated. And sometimes those two words can be combined as misunderestimated. So that gives pause to those who would be inimical to the devotees, because they don't know what to expect. This is a good thing. As we mentioned in the previous class, when this case took place, it was brought about by one of the federal entities, and it was a First Amendment case, so it was quite significant. It would have eventually gone to the Supreme Court, but it was settled in New York, and so therefore the precedent was established that, first of all, we are a bona fide religion. At that time, this was still the height of the, you could say, the demons and their brainwashing cult. Devotees were being kidnapped on a regular basis. And this, Prabhupada was very disturbed about that situation. And his disturbance, you can see from the purport here, was the friction required to bring this case. The demons were there, the devotee was there, and automatically Krishna would appear. So how did Krishna appear in this case? He appeared just like the appearance of the sun. What's that verse? Brilliant as the sun? You know that verse.
I know it, but I don't.
Yeah, I know it too. So the courts, they wanted proof how we are a religion. At that time, we weren't getting any assistance from so-called Hindu groups. They also considered us somewhat questionable. All right, there are so many, and for us to be in court, they didn't really want it. They thought we'd lose, so they didn't want to associate with losers. This is the definition of fair weather friend. Everybody knows that term, fair weather friend? I'm your friend when it's sunny, but not when it's cold or rainy or fair weather friend. So, in the course of the case, when we were asked to establish our bona fides, what did Prabhupada say? He said, give them our books. So that's what we did. We brought Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we put it there and entered it into evidence. And they were forced to come face to face with the reality that this is not just some simple cult that we can roll over, and dispense with quickly. No. It became a big deal. All the newspapers, everyone, and obviously, when we won the case, it made the headlines all over the world. So this is how the pure devotee brings Krishna to the forefront. He doesn't instigate the situation, but when the friction comes, then automatically Krishna appears to assist his devotee. And because we had no training, and we were just a bunch of young men, not well versed in the arts of lying, as the lawyers are. So Prabhupada guided, and by his guidance, there was victory. So this is the significance here, that the devotees are peaceful. But when there is a necessity, then they fight. Right? So we have so many examples in the course of now it's coming up on, what's our anniversary now? 55 years? 1966. Seems like such a short time, in one sense, for so much to be accomplished. But this is, and this is not to be misunderstood as the achievement of some secular, institution. This is all done by the potency of the Supreme Lord. From every page of the Bhagavatam, from the history of the Lilamrita, everything comes true at some point, and all we have to do is stay along for the ride. Right, that's what here it's described very carefully, that the devotees, they don't seek any comfortable situation. In that sense, wherever they are, whether in Narak, whether they're in hell, or whether they're in heaven, their duty is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Spiritual Master. So some people say that, New York is hellish. But just see, from the Sankirtan results yesterday, over 200 books distributed. And in other places, more books being distributed. And every day, thousands and thousands of books being distributed. So there is nothing hellish for the devotee. For the devotee, this is all just like Vaikuntha. He's simply taking pleasure in this activity. He doesn't have any doubts or independent desires. He understands that whatever he gets is by the mercy of the Lord. This so-called happiness and distress, these things are not very challenging. He's learned to see things with that perspective. What is that? Matirna Krishna Paratak Svatova. What is that? Matirna Krishna Paratak Svatova. Mitobi Vipadyete. Grihavritana. Madanta Gobir Vishatam Tamishram Punak Punash Chavata Chavananam. That these other activities in the material world, Adanta Gobir, it's like a dark well, with no way out. One can see the light above, but he has no means to escape. He doesn't have the rope to pull himself up. Not by any other material means, not by conference, not by any other association. And so he continues to chew the chewed, that punak punas chavata chavananam, unless he gets the higher taste, that rasa hamapsakonteya. He sees things through the scripture, how to see Krishna everywhere. Krishna is the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, syllable Om in the Vedic literature, the sound in ether and the ability in man. Once he has that core knowledge, then he's never far from Krishna. Krishna is always there if he wants. He has to take shelter. He has to learn that secret, how to take shelter of Krishna. Prabhupada said, why do we come before the deity for Mangal Arati, for Darshan Arati? Right? To get that impression in the heart. So that at any time of distress, one can remember how beautiful Radha Govinda. This is there, and how can I serve them? How I should not disappoint them? How I should not offend them? This is the devotee's mentality. is not artificial. It's not that we're walking on eggshells due to fanaticism. No, we have this, we're attaining something which is unattainable in the minds of the materialists. We're coming towards or closer towards the platform of actual love for God. This most precious commodity that Lord Chaitanya personally distributed, as we're reading every day in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yeah, many Prabhupada took great solace in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. We understand that on the voyage of the Jaladuta, this was his only solace. There are so many analogies that present themselves. The ocean of birth and death. Who can imagine that had the Atlantic shown its normal turbulence, that Prabhupada may not have survived. He was seasick. As a result, he suffered 2 heart attacks. This is not a simple thing that a person who has never traveled on a ship is put into a situation that is meant for very experienced souls. Freight ships do not have the benefit. You know these big cruise ships, you see how big they are? You know how they go across the oceans? They have gyroscopic stabilizers. This is, of course, a fairly modern invention. It wasn't available on the steamships, even though that steamship was of German construction. It had some modern situation, but it was not safe from that type of turbulence that the big ships of the modern age have, that maintain their position regardless of what would normally be the pitch and roll of the ship. Everyone has seen in the movies, when the ship rolls, everything inside goes from side to side, up and down. All the tables have edges on them. But you don't have to have that if you have gyroscopic stabilizer. But Prabhupada couldn't even afford a plane ticket. Who can imagine, that austerity at that age, to go on that type of transportation and suffer that inconvenience? But Krishna is so kind to his devotee, he appeared to Srila Prabhupada. And in that way, he made everything just suitable for his journey so that he would survive and come to the West to fulfill the order of his spiritual master. So this is, how is it accomplished? By remembrance of Lord Krishna. So this is the life example that we have to emulate. That to follow in the footsteps of such a great soul, he made it easy in one sense. Just follow these 4 regulative principles: no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. Chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 16 rounds. This, it couldn't be easier in one sense, but for those who are sincere, for those who are sincere. In the course of executing one's duty, doubts will come. We see it in every profession, even in so-called special forces, with the most highly trained people in the world. There's nobody more trained in so many activities of discipline. Of course, it is not a typical engagement, but it just exemplifies that what extent the human mind is capable of. But still, one can have doubt, fear, like this. And the saying is that Courage is doing something even when you're afraid. It is not some artificial bravado. That can be there. But that doesn't last. But real courage, moral courage, that which takes root based on realization and practice, that produces something that you cannot get in the marketplace. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Priyojitaha Janaya Yasu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahoitakam. This is a secret. If people knew this secret, they would take Krishna consciousness more seriously. But they have no faith in the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so therefore, they treat it superficially, unfortunately, until it's too late. And then if some doubt overtakes them, they don't have anything no foundation of realization to support them in such times of tribulation or trepidation. Where everyone will be faced with some challenge. Maya's job is to challenge your realization in order for you to remain in the association of devotees. Because it is by the association of devotees that one advances. It's not simply by his own endeavor. He has to have that constant companionship of like-minded souls. Maya, just like if a soldier is alone on a battlefield, he's very easily overwhelmed. Like he's exposed. He has no cover. But when the soldiers or the devotees are together in the formation, then they can fight together. And they can oppose the challenges of Maya. One devotee helps another. This is the strength. It is not that one should think that, no, I am sufficiently strong enough to take on the Mayavadis and any other, or anything. There's years ago when we would do Sankirtan, we would go out Maha, Saturday Harinam, Friday and Saturday to Times Square, big Harinam. The whole entire temple. And it could be up to 100 devotees, not the elderly or the infirm or the women with children, but 100 devotees going down Broadway. And Times Square at that time was the heart of degradation. It was not the family-friendly place it is now. Everywhere you went, everything was what they call triple X. The marquees famously advertised, naked dance shows. Prabhupada would say that. Topless, bottomless. That's how Prabhupada would describe it. Topless, bottomless. So the devotees would go in there in numbers, not separately, not alone, not with any artificial. It's not we went there to distribute books on a regular basis. But in force, we would go there, and the effect was amazing. Because so many people are there looking for the wrong thing, and here's the devotees distributing books, pamphlets, Back to Godhead magazines, guerrilla street theater. This is all Prabhupada's mercy. Guerrilla street theater, like Bhakti Joseph wants to do in Times Square. You have to learn the old plays. The Drowning Man, that was a real good one. Mother Rasagya, Loe Taksha. The Drowning Man, that was that one, that Anyway, it was easy to perform.
He's like puffed up and thinks everything was
So easy. But we have these, we have so much to offer, to the denizens of Kali Yuga, that it is our duty to remain strong and to maintain the association of devotees. Don't separate yourself for any reason. Don't think I will go away and I will execute spiritual life independently. No, it is not. Some people do this and they acquire some following. The internet makes it very easy to put up something and appear to be something that your person is not, to have some deeper or some elevated status. People declare, yes, I was in the Bhakti program in ISKCON and now I'm a Mahatma. We've seen it. Many people have gone through these situations. They pick and choose from this. They were in this society, and then they were in this society, and then they were in this society. Finally, they think, okay, I've gotten enough from all these societies, and now I can make my own society. But this is Maya's trick also. This is Maya's trick. So just remain humble in the association of devotees. Remain protected under the shelter of the superior energy. These devotees all together, they represent Krishna's energy. These are not just, a group of individuals inhabiting some building, someplace in downtown Brooklyn. No, these are all great souls that have come together to push on the mission of Lord Chaitanya. It may not appear as such now, due to familiarity. As one progresses and he sees how his friends are advancing in spiritual life, he takes satisfaction in the knowledge that, yes, we were in the right place at the right time, in the association of Shri Shri Radha Govinda, following Srila Prabhupada's instructions, in a situation that he personally inaugurated. There's so much potency, but one has to take advantage of it. It doesn't mean that just simply by mere physical presence. One has to be fully in. And that's the definition of surrender. He's fully in. He doesn't just think, well, this is an interesting analogy. When I was coming to the temple, I'd been reading Bhagavad Gita, listening to Prabhupada's lectures. I'd been following I was doing everything at a certain point, but I wasn't living in the temple. I was trying to enjoy both aspects. I was trying to be a yogi and a bogey. And it's incompatible. Incompatible. And gradually I was becoming, by detachment, it's natural that one loses his taste for material things. That's that param drisvandavartate. I wasn't trying, it was happening automatically. And I was a little bit resistant to it. Because I thought that along with this higher taste, I would lose my independence. Somehow or other, I wouldn't be who I thought I was. And this is the great fear of the materialist, but it was a misconception, of course, but I didn't know that at the time. And so when Srila Prabhupada came to New York, I was staying in the temple at that time, but I was still not fully surrendered. I was maintaining my long hair. Devotees were trying their best to push me into that stage of full surrender, but they were very tolerant. I was still doing martial arts. I was still doing a lot of things I shouldn't have been doing. But I was serving. I was washing the pots. That was my service, cleaning the bathrooms, doing whatever had to be done. all day long, fully engaged, morning to night. That was the prescription in the old days. We were fully engaged. And we were serving Prabhupada. You know, even though we didn't really understand, I didn't understand, of course, fully what the benefits were. And so when Srila Prabhupada was giving class, I remember thinking to myself, I have to make this decision. This is the time, I have to make this decision. I'm hearing from the pure devotee, everything is crystal clear. He's explaining things and it's just like the veil was lifted and Maya was completely exposed. And my position was revealed as, you know, that foolish living entity. And I thought, okay, let me try to make some commitment. So I thought, all right, let me stay in the temple for at least 2 years. At least 2 years. 1 month for every month that I was in Maya. I was 23 at the time. So I was saying, I'll stay in the temple for 23 months. This way I could fool my mind. Make a deal. So this is how the living entity, he's trying to make a bargain with Krishna. It cannot be done. But just to fool the mind, I did that. And it worked, actually. I was able to fool the mind long enough for Krishna consciousness to take firm hold and to realize how foolish I was to try to do something like that. But somehow or other, Krishna let me do it, and he let me succeed. So this is an anecdote that even someone so foolish is trying to make a bargain. Like Prahlad Maharaj, he famously said that I am not serving you or not worshiping you out of some material mercantile consideration. I am not a baniya. Vanik, the word vanik is translated to baniya, which means mercantile class. In India, they have the mercantile class, Vaishyas, like that. And their whole business is to exchange goods for something else of value. So Prahlad Maharaj was telling, you know, Lord Nrsingadev that I'm not here to bargain. I'm not here expecting anything in return. I'm not expecting anything in return. I'm simply worshiping you out of love and devotion. So eventually, even though we're trying to bargain with Krishna, he is so expert that he gives us pure love for him if there's any sincerity in that desire to, even such a feeble desire. Krishna will reciprocate. He will amplify. So don't have any doubts about the potency of Krishna, about the purity of this movement. We're so fortunate to have this philosophy and to such a degree that anywhere, at any point, if one is disturbed, if he simply opens up any of Srila Prabhupada's books, just like we were reading Lilamrita, and immediately we could see the parallels between that and the purports in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Krishna was urging Arjuna to do his duty. Armed with knowledge, stand and fight. So this all boils down to this fact. It may sound simple, but everything is condensed in that concept and understanding that armed with knowledge, we fight Maya. We battle our own internal struggles with the mind, the lower self. And ultimately you will be the winner, you can say. Yeah? The one who has conquered the mind. But we don't want to take such a lofty position. The mind is very, very tricky. She's Maya's agent. Within this, what does it say? The demons and the devotees in Kali Yuga take birth in the same body. In the same body. In different yugas, they were on different planets. But in Kali Yuga, the demon and the devotees take birth in the same body. So this is what we have to contend with. If we do not control the mind becomes very quickly affected by the lower modes of material nature, not by the higher modes, by the lower modes. So we have to go out there and fight Maya today on Long Island. So everyone is getting ready, I'm sure. The van is getting ready to be loaded, or if it's not already loaded, right? Already loaded. Ready to go. So we just have to go and take breakfast. So we have time for just a couple of short questions. Any short questions, Bhakti Justin? Any? No? No short questions? Bhakta Joseph, loudly.
Thank you for coming to class, by the way.
Why don't you come all the way forward?
Yeah.
Very inspiring. You were saying before that this idea of this like fight with Maya, and you're always sort of like having to defend against sort of onslaught. Is there ever a point or any cases where sort of like Maya just sort of like holds off, or maybe sort of sees the endeavor of the devotee and almost, I don't know, helps them in some way, or is it just a constant, no matter how strong the devotion becomes?
It's a very good question, Bhakti Joseph. Very good question. Maya gives you a short break when you surrender to the spiritual master. Because she sees that you've made a sincere attempt at that point. And so she wants to see what you do with it. And to the extent that you're able to take advantage of that situation, she will back off for a little while. But at the point of initiation, she comes back in full fury. Because now you've declared war on her. Literally. You've declared war. And of course, when you declare war on someone, they don't just sit back and say, okay, you've won, I surrender. No. She says, no, now we're going to test you. That's the first test. So right after first initiation, all your doubts that were suppressed, that knowledge had quelled for the time being, start to creep back into your consciousness. And you're supposed to confront them. You're not supposed to avoid them. You're supposed to confront them and say, no, these are all the lower tastes. Now I'm into the Paramdrisvanavartate. I'm no longer into the cheap stuff. Now I'm into the expensive, higher taste. The rasavajram rasopyasya. I want the real thing. So one has to have that confidence that if I continue in this path, gradually, step by step, my taste will be purified. Prabhupada gives the analogy of the jaundiced man. Yeah, in the beginning it's bitter, but at the end it's sweet. So we understand, we see it clearly. And that seeing that is what gives us confidence to continue. So yes, she will give you a break. You can look forward to it. Give you time to prepare and build up your arsenal. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki,